All right, everybody, we're going to go ahead and get started. As you continue to find your places, welcome to Find Your Voice. This is our last session for this time. We've had two. How many people have come to the first two? Raise your hands high. Yes. And how many people do we have new tonight? I have two new visitors with me. 3. Awesome. 4. So, what I like about it is that you can get something out of any session you attend. Would you agree to that, group? Yeah, if you come in the morning, if you came yesterday, it didn't matter. Something, you'll leave with something is our hope. And I know that a lot of people have come up and personally told us, myself, Ed, Jamie, and the different ones that have helped, Brad, that they've gotten something from this. And that was our goal. So we will not have those on for you. You good, Harry? Let me see.
Yeah, I got it.
Hello? Hello? Get it?
You're
Okay.
good.
Awesome. So, what we're going to do is what we've been doing, and it may seem like a foreign language to the new ones, but I don't know where your level of anything is.
Is it possible to put your mic on the monitor instead of out there?
I think he has. Do you not have the lapel mic in the choir wedges? Test 1, 2.
It is in there. It's pretty light though.
You can lift it just a little bit more. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3. How's that? 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. A little bit more, Jamie. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3. Right there? All right. So as I was saying, we've been doing different things, and we're going to continue that. So if you're new, don't feel intimidated by it. Just come hop in with us. All right? Tonight, we're going to go over a couple things. We're going to have what we call some vocal exercises. We're going to learn how to prepare a song properly and practice that. Learn about projecting our voices. Then we'll have a time when we have projecting our voices for speaking purposes. And then we're going to wrap it up with some vocal health and management of your voice. And then we're going to have some participatory type things at the very end, right before you go home. All right? Sound like a plan? How many people have had a great day today? How many people are anticipating having a great night? Awesome. So you're going to have something great today. That's good. So go ahead and stand up for me. Put your books down. Make yourselves comfortable. And now I know that you've been active all day long, whether you were here or not. You've done something. I don't think you just stayed at home. How many people just stayed at home today and did nothing? Most of us have done something. We've either worked, run errands, come to this conference, whatever it might be. So because we've done a lot already, we have physicality in our bodies. We've used our bodies quite a bit, right? We've walked, we've sat down, we've stood up. Sometimes we've sat down and knelt, whatever we might have done. If you worked in a hospital, you may have to bend. If you do something heavy, you lift heavy tools. So let's just get rid of some kinks. So let's just do some stretches. Wave to the sunshine outside. Let the sun shine in, right? Go to the sides, east and west. And you can just, you can do Diana Ross and the Supremes. And let's drop it. One more time. High, diddle, east and west. Diddle, down. All right. Now, all right, group, so we've learned this. Let's get ourselves into our proper stacked posture. Ready? We're going to go up. We'll do the Michelle Kwan, come down. And lift, keep your chest raised high. Your shoulders should be comfortably placed back. You don't want to do this because you're going to cave in your body and work against your production zone. So open up your chest. Let's try it again. Bring it down. There. All right. Say for me, hello.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome to my show.
Welcome to my show.
I'm glad you came.
I'm glad you came.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye. All right. So before we do anything, we have this exercise called diaphragmatics. When we sing, when we speak from areas of our body that are healthy. The diaphragm is a muscle. That is the area of our body that we produce a lot of our power from, and it comes and lifts our air up through our lungs. Do you have that picture we can show, Nikki, of the cartoon guy with the vocal? Yeah, there we go. I call him Mr. Ed. That's not Ed Shuley, that's just Mr. Ed. So air comes up, passes up through the lungs, goes through the trachea, which is your windpipe, into the larynx, which is also known as your voice box. And when it does that, you have these two things inside called vocal cords. Some people call them vocal folds. The air hits those vocal cords, they begin to do like this. They fluctuate, they vibrate. And when they vibrate, sound comes out, either by saying something or speaking, singing. And that's why there's a music note at the end of his mouth there. So we want to take a breath. We're going to go. I want you to stand tall. And as you breathe, let it out as you come in. Like at the doctor's office. You smell a bright lemon, you put it back. Make the noise on purpose. Now don't raise your shoulders. As you inhale, you're going to get fat. As you exhale, you get thin. Again. Open your mouths. Feel the cold air go to the back of your throat. Again. Again. Now this time I want you to round your lips for an ooh shape and breathe through the ooh. Again. Again. This time speak it as you release it. Ooh. Again. Ooh. Again. Ooh. Change it to E. E. Again. E. Once more. E. How many feel winded? Okay. Relax. All right. And so that's rule number 1. What do we say? Do not what? Don't what? Don't. Say it with me. Come on. Don't clear your throat. The reason you don't want to clear your throat is because every time you do, it's like taking those two vocal cords up. Show that next picture with the open throat. Keep one more. See these two little guys that look like a V? Those are your vocal strands. They're about the size of a tiny rubber band, but they stretch. It's in that stretch that you get your range. Your pitches are occurring. All right? The air passes over those. And so when it's just loose and relaxed, that's in your lower range of your voice. The stretchier it is, that's your higher end. Every time you clear your throat, you take those vocal cords, it's like sandpaper on a sand block. It causes friction. And over time, if you do that repetitively, it's going to create scar tissue, which are blisters. And those blisters, if they harden, like a corn on your toe, it's going to form a callus. And the only way you can get rid of those calluses is to have them surgically removed. And then there's no guarantee of what your voice is going to end up sounding like. So to avoid all that, we employ proper singing technique through breathing and placement. So if you have phlegm, which you're going to have phlegm in your mouth, in your throat, work up saliva and swallow. Also, you can take a sip or a swig of room temperature water and swish it in your mouth and swallow. And we also learned something today in the German language. The word for I is ich. Can you say it with me? Ich. And if you say that ich part real long and slow, it'll release slowly some of that phlegm that's coating your vocal fold. Ich. Okay? So it's going to take time for you to get used to not clearing your throat because you do it all the time. And so it's a bad habit you have to learn to overcome. But just swallow the saliva. And take a swig of water. And put that little water in your mouth. And not too much. You don't want to gulp water down because it'll fill you up just like food. And you don't want to have to deal with belching when you take your breath. You need your diaphragm to be free so it can expand to its fullest capacity, not be filled with food or water, right? All right, so let's go back, and we were doing whoo again. Whoo. Whoo. Once more. Whoo. Okay, good. Set your papers down. You won't need those right now. This is all about vocalizing. Vocalizing means this, There's a fancy term called vocolesis. Can you say it? Vocolesis means vocal exercise. A common name is warm-ups. Every industry has some type of activity they have to prepare before they do. Athletes know they have to stretch and flex and all these kinds of things before they compete. Well, singers need to do the same, and so do speakers. And so if we just go into our speaking or we go into our singing cold turkey, that's exactly what we get, cold turkey. Your vocal cords are very fragile, but they do work if you treat them correctly, right? So the key to the vocal fold is to keep them flexible, keep them mobile. So when we warm up our voices, we're warming up the blood in our bodies. That blood is key because it carries oxygen. The oxygen goes to the vocal cords and gives it vivaciousness, thereby creating nice pitch and tone and resonance, and you're not sagging and you're not like dark singing in your throat. But all these things occur because your body's warmed up. It's just like a car. If the engine's cold, it doesn't run as nicely. But once you warm that car up, it's smooth and it purrs like a kitten, okay? So we're going to do a couple exercises to first get that going, our bodies. It is a total body experience when you speak and when you sing. It's not just your voice, but it's everything, more than you realize. And we have found that out, haven't we, guys? Yeah. So I want you to do something called a diaphragmatic, and this is so you can locate where you're going to breathe from. So we're just going to say a little phrase, and I've kept it up here, I think. Can you see that okay? So number one, it's F-I-H, which is pronounced fi. Can you say it? Fi. And then s, s, and then sh, sh. Okay, that's the pattern. F, s, sh. All right, I need you to get your snappers up. All right, you're going to do this. Okay, so I'm going to create the pattern. I want you to imitate me. Listen for the demo. It goes like this. I did fi, si, sh, fi, si, sh, fi, si, sh, f. Okay, on the last one, hold out. Okay, and focus on that I. Here we go. 1, 2. Did you feel it bounce? All right, forget about the steps for a minute. Put your hands here, down there, below your belly button, where your diaphragm is, your core. All right, let's try it again. 1, and now. Again. Did you feel that bounce? Okay, if you felt it bounce, that's the area of your body where you're going to take your deep breath from. That's called your diaphragm. So it's a mixture of the diaphragm combined, with your intercostals, which refers to your rib cage. Has nothing to do with the shoulders, which is your clavicle area. When you take a breath, you don't want to do this. Watch. That's not going to help you at all. And we see it all the time. But you want to instead try it. Let's do our candle. Birthday candle. Remember that? Blow out the candle. Blow out the candle. Blow out the candle. It's a cake with a candle. Quickly. All right, now let's get romantic. Remember the romantic? Make this a little longer. You want the steak dinner night to last a long time. Here we go. Again. Once more. Now, put your candle way out there. You need to guide. These people in the back are lost. They need to find their way home. And the only way they can find their way home is by your light. All right, so go ahead. Blow that candle. Slowly. Slowly, all the way to the back. And when you can't blow anymore, let it out. So we're going to... Let's go back to the birthday cake. Short. You do feel that sensation? That's what we sing by the way. We don't sing by our hearing. We sing by what? Sensation, okay? Now, we have been recording these, so for those who have not been able to come, we'll make this available. At some point in time, we'll edit everything, and we'll make you aware of what we had. And there's a lot. I can't believe how much we've said, but we've said a lot. So we want to make sure you partake of that as well, all right? So those three, we haven't sung anything. That's one of the first things you want to do after your stretches, then go into this mode of waking up your breath, all right? Then after that, we apply it. It's saying simple little phrases. I have this like waterfall I like to say. Ooh. So try that. Ooh. Do that hand motion with me. Ooh. Because that's what's happening to the airstream in your body. Ooh. Now, I want you to breathe in the shape that you're trying to sing. In other words, I want to sing an ooh, so I need to breathe in an ooh. So I'm going to go, ooh. And as soon as I breathe in, I'm going to let it out. Let's try it. Ooh. Again. Ooh. Make it longer this time. Ooh. Start a little higher and drop it down. Ooh. Once more. Ooh. Let's change it to wee. Wee. Again, you're a parachuter. Wee. And again. Wee. Again. Wee. Now let's become a fire siren. Wee, 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 wee. This is good because it starts to wake up the top part of your voice. And then we can get down into what is this called? Mask. All right. And on our mask we have what are called what? Sensors. What's an example of a sensor? Tell me. And what else? What else? Lips? What else? Tongue, chin, forehead, temples, cheeks. All right, earlobes, hairline. All right, so I want you to say for me, where do you feel that? All right, so when we say we sing by sensation, we want to remember what that felt like. It's like playing Operation or putting something on Mr. Potato Head. There's a part of our body. If we can remember that where that felt on our face, when we have notes that have to do with that part of our face, that's how you remember each time what it's going to sound like without guessing. All right? Again. All right, let's become a 3-year-old in a high chair. Then again. And again. Now let's do this. This is for breathing as well. Can you say for me? Stay there. Hand. If you can't, that means you have no air. So that's a good way to locate the air and line it up properly. All right? Now let's do a scale. Try it. Good. You like popcorn? Pop, pop, pop. Pop, pop, pop. Pop, pop, pop. Pop, pop. Go ahead and turn your body and face me. Pop, pop, pop. There you go. Keep your posture tall. Pop, pop, pop. Pop, pop, pop. parachute for me. Again. Start lightly on the top and just let the air carry you down naturally with gravity. Do it again. Yes. You feel the difference? The other one, you were kind of slamming it, but woo. Change to he. He. Everybody say Lou, like Lucy. Lou. Now, I want you to sing this tone. Ladies, it's easy for you. Guys, but a little bit higher. In your head voice. Guys, so that means your falsetto. Now, you remember a moment ago I told you to be a light and guide those people home because they were lost? I want you to take your loo and sing it to them. Pretend like the ooh is the candle flame, the wick, not the wick, the little flame of the candle. And that's what you're suspending in air. All right, here we go. Breathe the sound you want to sing. Relax. Relax. Some of you got good breath there. Relax. Very nice. Thank you. So I'm going to give you a couple of sample vocal exercises that you can use in your vocalises, right? There's one we do around here. It says, Mommy made me eat my ham and eggs. Can you say that? Mommy made me eat my ham and eggs. Now, you do want to use the M to your advantage on this one because there's a lot of them. Mommy made me eat my ham and eggs. And I want you to speak it all in one continuous thread. Mommy made me eat my ham and eggs. Say it to your neighbor. Mommy made me eat my ham and eggs. Now, you don't have to feel like a blackbird pecking for corn. Mommy made, I don't want that. I want, Mommy made me eat my ham and eggs. Say it. Mommy made me eat my ham and eggs. 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 Keep your posture tall. Mommy made me eat my ham and eggs. 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 But Grandma had a fit with that. She didn't like that, so she says, no, 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 no. Says, but Daddy said I want a lemon pie. Daddy said I want a lemon pie. Daddy said I want a lemon pie. Real nice and lush. Daddy said I want a lemon pie. 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 Very nice. All right, let's try another one in terms of this. It goes like this. siren or fireman slides. Let's go the reverse. How many got there? Yeah? One again. All right. Your favorite one, and then we'll get into our next set. Oh. Say for me, Ma. Now I want you to sing the vowel. What does that mean? Somebody tell me. Brad, what does that mean?
You kind of like sustain the vowel, like you aim to sing that part, not the consonant so much.
Okay, so you're going to let that vowel suspend. That's what you want to have soar. Okay? So the whole time you're holding your phrase out, however long the note is, think about the vowel shape of that word more than anything else, okay? All right? Because there's energy with those vowels, and it'll cause your throat to stay open, which is a relaxed sensation for singing. That's what you want. You don't want it to be tight and closed. So say for me, Ma, Father. That's a similar word for it. Me, wet, which is outside right now. Me, like cheese. Mm-hmm. Mo, like grow. Moo, like you. All right. Ma, me, mi, mo, moo. Ma, me, mi, mo, moo. Ma, me, mi, mo, moo. Think of the vowel. Ma, me, mi, mo, moo. Ma, me, mi, mo, moo. Ma, me, mi, mo, moo. Jazz it up. Ma, me, mi, mo, moo. Ma, me, mi, mo, moo. Focus on the vowel. Ma, me, mi, mo, moo. 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 And again. Ma, me, mi, mo, moo. close your eyes. I want you to hum. Just that again. And again. Now do this. Recognize the tune? Let's do it again. Yeah. Stay on that again with your mouth closed. If it's too low, take it up an octave. Let's try that same concept on Amazing Grace. No words. Let's just hum. Breathe. This time I want you to do it again on that raspberry. The same singing. Here we go. It's pretty funny, huh? Let's try it again. One more time. Now, what did you experience? Some of you, when it was in that lower range, it wasn't as hard. But then for me, it was easier as I went up. So you're going to have a variance in that. But if you can do that before you ever try to sing the song and you can have the raspberries present, that means your air is working. So that'll be step number one. So I'm segueing now into the next section, which is called practicing and learning a song. Right? Are we there yet? Yeah, learning a song. So long before, go ahead and take your seats. Nikki, if you can, put up for me, How Great Is Our God. You'll just have to find it on Planning Center. Just the lyrics. So we're going to talk about what it means to learn a song and then to practice that song. When you come into a rehearsal setting, or if you're at home by yourselves and you're preparing for a wedding, or you're going to sing at someone's funeral, maybe you have to play at a gig, you sing something outside of here, it doesn't matter. How do you prepare for that? You know? So I want you to be very, very honest with me. We're not here to embarrass anybody, but this is how you're going to learn as well. How many of you feel like the best way you can learn a song is you buy the demonstration of the song and you just keep playing it and singing it over and over and over, and every time you play it, you sing along with it? Who does that? Does anybody do that? Raise your hand high. Okay, thank you. How many of you depend upon someone else to help you work through that song? In other words, you find someone who plays a piano, or you find someone who plays a guitar or an organ, and you arrange a time and you go over the song that way. You spend a long time doing that in one setting. How many do that? Okay. How many people are the kind of person that you might record yourself on your iPhone or on your smartphone, and you play it back and you hear how you sound, and you play it again, and you're like, I still can't get it. Does anybody do that? Okay. How many people don't do any of that, but you just come to the rehearsal and you wait for the person to tell you how to do it? Who's that? Anybody like that? How many of you feel like you're a deer in headlights when it comes to learning a song on your own? You don't know what to do. Okay, thank you for your transparency. Because those are all real situations and they all happen. They all happen. We had a session this morning and it was on pacing your voice, both for singing and for speaking. So this kind of ties in with some of that, but this is a little bit differently as well. So often when we have a song, and we're going to pretend like we don't know the song, How Great Is Our God, even though most of us know that song. Does anybody not know that song? Okay. How Great Is Our God. I know you know that song. Okay. So we're going to pretend like we have never learned it, but we're going to learn it. All right? And so the first step, of course, when we look at the song, she's going to put the words up. All right. So the first phrase that the songwriter has written is the splendor of the King, clothed in majesty. Next slide. Let all the earth rejoice, let all the earth rejoice. Next slide. He wraps himself in light and darkness tries to hide and trembles at his voice and trembles at his voice. All right, let's go back to the beginning, Nikki. So I'm going to tell you that part of the song is called the verse. So the first thing you want to do when you have your song is this. Okay, first of all, you want to identify the parts of the song or the arrangement of the song. All right, and for those who don't know, I'll tell you. Let me get this over here a little bit more. Can you see that okay? All right, so typically in a song of this type, this is a pop song. It's a Christian song, but it's arranged in a pop styling. We have what we call an intro. Say it with me. We have a verse. Sometimes we have what we call a pre-chorus. This is also sometimes called a climb, or it can be called a channel. Depending on what decade you grew up in, you'll have these different terms, but this means the same thing. And then you'll have the chorus, which in pop music we know that as the hook. Okay? And then after that, let me do 2 columns. We have what we call a reintro. And in the days of old, they called this an interlude. Okay? And then after the reintro, we have sometimes another verse, which in this one I know we do. So we're going to call that verse 2, and this is verse 1. And after verse 2, we'll have the chorus again. Call that chorus 2. And then we have a bridge. And after the bridge, sometimes you might have an instrumental. So I'll put that in parentheses. And then you'll have the chorus again. So that's the third time we have it. Then we have a tag ending, anything from a tag ending to an outro. All right, we're going to make our song this way. So let's see how many parts we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We have 12, I'm going to call them episodes. Can you say that? 12 episodes. This is an arrangement. Now, you might go up the road and they may have a different arrangement which only contains 2 episodes. And that's fine. But in this particular example, we're going to have 12 episodes. So I have to ask myself, man, that's a long arrangement. Okay? Whether I'm rehearsing it by myself or I'm coming to choir practice and rehearsing with a group or I'm going into an ensemble, it doesn't matter. That's what I'm up against. So mentally, I have to get myself ready for this, right? It's going to involve a regimen of consistent application for me to get to my destination. The outcome is to get to the outro. We know how to start it, but we got to finish it. Sometimes along life's way, though, we get all caught up and messed up inside, right? And vocally, we can get tired. We're like, is this song ever going to be over with? All right, and that's where the pacing comes in. So that's the first step, identifying the sections of the song. Now, we call this guy the hook on purpose. I didn't invent that. Songwriters of old did that, back even in the 1800s. They wanted to make sure that they can grab the listener's attention, and that one idea is what they can remember more than anything else. Huh? So, I'm not going to start with the intro. I'm not going to start with the verse 1. I'm not going to start with the pre-chorus or any of that. I want to start with my chorus. The reason being, I just told you, I want you, if nothing else is ever learned in this song, know the reason why the person wrote the song. So let's go to that slide, How Great Is Our God. This is the hook. How great is our God, sing with me, how great is our God, and all will see how great is our God. All right? That's what we're going to start with. But we're not going to sing yet. We're going to pronounce it. Because we've learned this week something called pure vowels, correct? So she's going to take it back to the first slide. That first line is, how great is our God. The how, is closest to isn't it? So can you speak it for me? How great is our God. Again, how great is our God. So that first vowel would be an shape, wouldn't it be? How, it's closest to Great, that's A-E-I-O-U, A-A-Y, that's closest to that. Is closest to the Our, we're going to drop the R and just call it our God. And God is like Father, so that would be So you've got a lot of ahs in this. How great is our God? Now, we did something with Brad today. Do you remember? He was pronouncing this part of the word into the next syllable, and I told him, keep both syllables in the same position. You remember that? So we have 3 words like that up there that have the formation. How great is our God? If we can all aim for our teeth here and speak it to your teeth, don't move all over the place in your head. Just keep it here. How great is our God? Say it.
How great is our God.
Now say it again.
How great is our God.
Now just say it like you're speaking normally. How great is our God? But use the same concept.
How great is our God.
How great is our God? Say it.
How great is our God.
Say it again.
How great is our God.
Call somebody on the phone right now and tell them. Right? Do it. How great is our God, Brad? How great is our God, man? How great is our God? All right. So I did that on purpose because we want a believability about what we say. We don't want it to be too overproduced. How great is our God? No, because this song is relaxed pop. It's not supposed to be mighty, mighty that way. It's mighty in another way. How great is our God? All right. Now the rhythm of it. Dun 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 dun. Dun. We'll use that. How great is our God? Can you say that with me? And again. How great is our God? And again. How great is our God? All right? And let's speak the next line. How great is our God. Sing with me. How great is our God. All will see how great is our God. All right? So what we're doing is speaking it in time. That's the next step. Once you locate the part of the song and you begin to identify per line what the vowels are for those lyrics, then start putting it into the rhythm that the songwriter wrote. Don't sing it yet, but just speak it. How great is our God. Sing with me, how great is our God. All will see how great is our God. I would invite you to download a free app on your phone called Mobile Metronome, all right, and set it to a metronomical marking that's suggested. And if you can't figure it out, they even have a feature where you can just tap it with your finger and it'll figure it out for you. And I want you to practice speaking over the time of the metronome. The old timers had it right. They said get the metronome out when you practice your scales to keep you in sync, all right? Not ahead of the beat or behind the beat, but right in sync with it. Let's try it. There's my metronome, my snaps. How great is our God. Sing with me, how great is our God. All will see how great is our God. All right? Now we're going to learn the melody. And I'm going to put it in a key that everybody can sing. I'm going to use A instead of C. The melody like this, just listen, don't sing it yet. Just my ladies, would you all sing that for me? Ladies, here we go. How great. Snap, guys. All right, ladies, I need you to snap so the guys can sing it for themselves. Here we go, guys. How great. Now, remembering the vowels and the shape of the lyrics, I want you to sing it again as a group, ladies and guys, okay? Together, here we go. 1, 2, 3. How great. Stand up and let's try it again. Sing it out to the back wall. How great Very nice. All right, sit down. Now I would take you to the verse. I'll take you to verse 1. All right? We're going to apply everything we learned in our chorus world, the same techniques we're going to apply now to our verse. So what's the first step? Let's look at the lyrics. Verse 1. The splendor of the king. That's what I'm looking for, Nikki. There we go. The splendor of the king. Say it with me. The splendor of the king, clothed in majesty. Let all the earth rejoice. All the earth rejoice. He wraps himself in light, and darkness tries to hide, and trembles at his voice, and trembles at his voice. Let's do that one more time. Focus even more on those vowels. Again. The splendor of the king, clothed in majesty. Let all the earth rejoice. All the earth rejoice. He wraps himself in light, and darkness tries to hide, and trembles at his voice, and trembles at his voice. All right, now to speak it in time, go back to the beginning slide, Nikki. Speak it. The splendor of the King, clothed in majesty, let all the earth rejoice, all the earth rejoice. 2, 3. He wraps himself in light, darkness tries to hide, and trembles at his voice, and trembles at his voice. Now let's try to sing it. The splendor of the King, clothed in majesty, let all the earth rejoice, all the earth rejoice. He wraps himself in light, darkness tries to hide, trembles at his voice, trembles at his voice. Go to the chorus. How great is our God? Sing with me. How great is our God? All will see how great is our God. Verse 2. And age to age he stands. Let's speak it. And time is in his hands, beginning and the end, beginning and the end. The Godhead 3 in 1. Here we go. Father, Spirit, Son, the Lion and the Lamb, the Lion and the Lamb. And we sing verse 2. He's age, he stands. Time is in his hands, beginning and the end. The Godhead 3 in 1. Father, Father, Spirit, Son, the Lion and the Lamb. Chorus 2, here we go. How great is our God? Sing with me. How great is our God? All will see how great is our God. All right, to the bridge now on the lyric. Let's speak it. Name above all names, worthy of all praise. My heart will sing, how great is our God. And again, he repeats it, name above all names. Let's sing it this time. Name above all names. Again. Sorry about that. All right, let's sing it with a full accompaniment. Here we go. Name above all names. Sing the vowel, sing the vowel. Now guess what? You've learned the whole song, the portion you have to be prepared for, right? The only other portions are the instrumentalists to provide you the accompaniment, okay? So stand to your feet. I'm going to play the whole thing from top to bottom. I'll start with the intro. Transposing on the fly myself. Here we go, the splendor. The splendor of breathe. Let all the earth rejoice. All the earth rejoice. He wraps himself in light. Darkness tries to hide. Trembles at his voice. Trembles at his voice. Chorus. How great is our God? All will see how great is our God. Age to age you stand. Beginning and the end, the Godhead three. How great, chorus two, how great is our God. All will sing how great is our God. Name above, you're the name above all names. My heart will sing, how great is our God. Name above, you're the name above all names. How great is our God. All right, I want you to do the instrumental by snapping. Here we go, snap. All right, let's do it a little bit lesser and dynamic than the last chorus. How great, come on, is our God. Sing the vowels. Is how great is our God. How great is our God. There you go. What did you think? All right, take your seats. I want to ask you a couple questions before we move to. So, we learned that song probably in about 15 minutes. And that was a long arrangement. But sometimes if I come in and let's start at the very beginning and I go score by score by score, we'll be there all night. I know it's happened because I've experienced that, and so have you. But only take out what you have to learn that concerns your voice. That's a way of preserving your voice. And then when you rehearse, directors, if you rehearse, you don't have to rehearse every single thing that doesn't apply. Now, you do need to put it together so they know how the whole arrangement sounds because they're going to have to sing it. But when you're in rehearsal mode, go over what you need to go over and save some for later, so to speak. Does that make sense? Then you don't wear them out and you don't wear your voice out, okay? And then you'll look also forward to singing the piece. Sometimes we learn a piece and we're like, man, I don't want to sing this piece now. It just seems so long, really, it does. But that's a good example. So, awesome. All right, do a couple parachutes for me. One more. And again. How many people are tired tonight? Anybody tired? We're going to bring that up in a minute. All right, so this next section, go ahead and take a swig of water if you have it. If anybody needs to get up and go to the bathroom, feel free to do so. You don't have to worry about that. So I'm going to talk about projecting your voice for singing. Okay? Projecting your voice for singing. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Do we sing by hearing? Do you remember the exercise yesterday when we walked outside? That was pretty fun, wasn't it? I wish we'd have waited until today when the thunderstorm happened. That would have been even cooler. No, it wouldn't have been good. But we don't sing by our hearing, and why? Our hearing is deceptive. See, my ears, by the time I get the sound back into my ear canal, it's already hit all kinds of interference. It's hit these walls, the carpet, the wood, this floor, the ceiling, the drapes, the chairs, people. So it has all these things that it absorbs energy from and emits it and goes into. But my sensation of my mask, that doesn't change too much unless I have some surgery to make it like numb in there or something. But when you stub your toe, you know what that feels like. When you have a migraine, you know what that feels like. When you have a toothache, you know what that feels like, right? So if we can learn to sing by what we feel, we don't have to guess, I hope I get that note today. No, you know where you put the note the first time when you got it right. You placed it in the position of your mask. We'll go back to that same place where you sang it the correct way that last time. And guess what? It'll probably be there again for you the second time. So some call this muscle memory, but it's also the correct placement on your mask. So when we need to project our voices, and in different styles, like rock music, they do a lot more screaming and wailing than other styles. You can belt improperly and you can belt properly. Now we're going to do a belting session, but projecting our voice. You're in a room setting like this. And the reason I brought up, do we sing by hearing? No. But there's a lot of you here tonight, and when joined together, everybody's part goes a long way if it's done in the same way. But if any one person feels like they have to carry the weight for everybody else, that's not a healthy existence ever. It's not a blend. So I'm going to leave here. I'm going to go in the middle and come back in the front and go into the back and come back in the front. But I need you to stand. Now yesterday we did an exercise where we walked around the room, and I had this gentleman, when we first started, you were over in the corner of the drums, and you came up near the piano, then you came up right near the stand, and he felt he needed to do one thing there, and then a different thing there, and then a different thing there. And I said, in reality, if you just sang the same approach each time, because you're being magnified in a room like this, I have a microphone on, you'll be fine, and your voice will be preserved, and you won't lose it. So just say to me, good evening. Good evening. Now, I'm standing here, so how would you talk to me? Say, good evening, Marcus. Good evening, Marcus. All right. Say it again. Good evening, Marcus. Do you feel like you have to become louder? Why? I'm further away from you, but you're not further away from yourselves. Did you hear what I said? I'm further away, but you're not further away from yourselves. In other words, the room hasn't changed. You haven't changed your position. The only person that's changed is me. So if I get the front seat because I'm the earliest of my ticket, and I'm sitting here right in the first seat, and you're going to sing, and I heard you here, and he's got an amplification system going on, guess what? When I come all the way back here to the end, say the same thing again. Good evening, Marcus. Good evening, Marcus. Now you're yelling, and I didn't ask you to yell. I want you to say it the same way you did when I was standing at the communion table. Say it. Good evening, Marcus. Say it again the same way. All right. Now, I want you to pretend like there's half of you in the audience or in the choir, and say it to me now. All right. Say it a little bit mightier. All right. Once more. Now, I want you to say it, but say it over the top of my head, and I want you to say it back to where Jamie is. Jamie, wave your hand so they can see you. Say it to him, but don't yell. Say it again. All right. Say it this way. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening, Marcus. Good evening, Brad. Good evening, Brad. Now say, good. Raise your eyebrows. Good. Good. Good evening. You remember when we said ma, me, mi, mo, mu? Remember that? Say, good evening. Marcus. Put it all in the same place. Good evening, Marcus. Stay there. I want you to say it again. Don't change anything. If you change it, I won't give you your money back. Here we go. Oh yeah, I'll say it again. Now, I'm going to tell you what happened differently. The sound is just lifted. And you didn't speak louder, but what you did, you repositioned how you approached it. You thought taller and brighter, all these terms we've been using over the last 2 days. You placed it differently. The first time I had you like this, good evening, Marcus. It's like someone died. This time it was like the lemon, Mr. Clean. Good evening, Marcus. But you weren't yelling, were you? You were projecting. You don't have to yell to project. It's how you approach it. And Ed was teaching that today, and Jamie was teaching it too, on the speaking side, right? Those who attended that. So I'm going to go back here now, use the same concept of the new, and you just smelled a lot of lemons. Tell me, good evening. Again. Pretend like it's the happiest moment of your life, yet all your debts paid off, and say it. Again. Now, Bridget, please go to the piano for me and hit me an A chord. Not an acorn, but an A chord. Thank you. All right, can we sing How Great Is Our God? 1, 2, 3. How great. All right, now I want you to use the approach that we just did on Good Evening, Marcus with the lemons. Put that into this world now on the song. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Come on. Wow, that's awesome. All right, some of you want to observe this. Sue, come out here. Come on, Sue. Hurry up. Okay, stand where I'm standing. Okay. All right, do the thing you just did with the lemons and how great. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Keep going. Let's go back here. Now, will you sing it again? But this time, sing it over the top of her head and over the top of my head. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. That's a real big sound. Now, what I'd like you to do, you're going to bring it down volume-wise, dynamically, but I don't want you to lose your intensity, okay? So to do that, you need to still focus on those vowels, and you're going to sing it, how great is our God, almost like you're speaking a piece of art, a poetry or something. I want you to sing it that way. Here we go. 1, 2, and now. Come on. Use your faces. Come alive. Now let's go back to the first way and make it real majestic. And now, come on. Sing to the back of our heads. That's good. You can tell a big difference. Now, my exercise for this is that you don't have to yell to be heard and to be intense. Okay? It's your approach to it. Go ahead and take your seats. Vic, I'm going to pick on you. Come down, please. All right. Ed, I'm wrapping it up. So you're kind of tall, so you'll need to adjust this to your height so you can easily speak into it. Mic number 2, Jamie. Say hi for us.
Hi.
Let me make sure it's on.
Turn it on.
Try it again.
Hi.
Again.
Hi.
All right, now I need to be able to see you, so come right here. All right, good. Say for me, why, just W-H-Y.
Why?
Put your hands down. Stand tall. Now say it again.
Why?
Take a breath and release the word on the end of the breath.
Why?
Do it again.
Why?
Now breathe in the I sound and release it.
Say it again.
Breathe in the I shape and then release it. Why?
Why?
So, yeah. Why?
Why?
All right, now take the W and say wha. Wha.
Why?
Now say why.
Why?
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 Pretend like the W is a wet washcloth and you're wringing the rest of the lather out. Why?
Why?
Hear the difference? That's not a vowel thing, that's more of a consonant, but I said the wash rag. But it is a what? Visualization, wasn't it? Do it again. Ring the
Why? Why?
Now, put some air behind that and make it go longer to reach the choir.
Why?
Simple, 2 little steps. He isn't trying to become louder, but he is becoming louder. Why? No pun intended. Because of how he's approaching it. Now let's do another one. Say for me, onion,
Onion.
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 Now think of the vowels in that, which are and right? But there's a key thing in there. There's a diphthong in there. Yun, yun, yun.
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 Yuns. That's an easy one in Pittsburgh, right? Yuns. You guys say that?
Yun.
Onion.
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 Make the first syllable different from the second syllable in the terms of like a pitch on it. Onion.
Onion.
Do it again.
Onion.
Now sing it. Onion.
Onion.
I want onions on my cheeseburger.
I want onions on my cheeseburger.
Onions.
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 Now that's getting louder and it's getting taller, so think out of the top of your head. Onions and descend.
Onions.
Again. Onions.
Onions.
It's the same thing you had. Hallelujah. What was that one word you had? Death. Death could not. The same concept we had with Brad. Do that. Onions. Again.
Onions.
All right. Now sing it with him. Onions.
Onions.
All better.
Onions.
Onions. All right. Now let's do one that's quiet. Go for me. Mistletoe.
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 I don't like that one. I like this one better. Whistle while you work. Whistle.
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 Do you know how to whistle?
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 Me?
Yes, sir.
If I can't smile.
I'm not asking you to
It's
whistle.
hard
This
to
is a
whistle when
question.
you're smiling.
Good. Is he doing a great job? Thank you. You can take your seat. Awesome. Is it your time? Come on. I'm done. This is upsetting you up. But you see, we didn't do a lot of singing to become louder. I mean, in terms of yelling and all that kind of thing, that's not how you, I mean, I don't know how many cheerleaders were in here, but but even then, when you are in the Army and they call cadence, you can't go all day shooting cadence from your throat because you'll give out. You have to project from your diaphragm, and the pronunciation, that little My Fair Lady clip is perfect for all this. The rain in Spain, it's how we approach it. And when there's enough of you together doing that, there was definitely a difference. There was a vibrancy when we stood in the middle and the back. Yeah? Just when I told you to do the lemon thing. Okay? And with that, Mr. Ed Shuley, give him your hand of applause there.
All right, Jamie, got me? Good, fabulous. So we're talking about projecting your voice for speaking. Your voice, that's not a word, your voice for speaking. Just to reiterate what Pastor Marcus had said, projecting your voice is not just talking louder. Volume is one of the things that you have in your vocal toolbox. And what that is, volume is just simply your relative loudness. You can talk soft, you can talk loud, but when we're talking about projection, what we're really talking about is the amount of energy that we're pushing out of our body, up from our diaphragm, out through our neck, over your vocal cords, and out of your mouth. Some of the other objects that you have in your vocal toolbox, this is all of the things that you can put together to help you to project your voice and get your message out and communicated. So we have register, which is the range of tones with which you are speaking. You might have heard of a head voice or a chest voice, falsetto. There's also a thing called vocal fry, which is what you get after you've been smoking and drinking all night and you wake up the next morning and your voice kind of sounds like this. That's vocal fry. That's way at the bottom end. Then you have falsetto at the top, and your whistle range, which is the really, really super high stuff that Mariah Carey did back in the early 90s. I will not be demonstrating that for you tonight. Timbre is another thing you have. This is a qualitative term that talks about the quality of your voice. You can have a very shrill quality to your voice. Think Steve Urkel. Think Fran Drescher from The Nanny. That would be shrill. When you think of the timbre that we want when we're speaking, we want something that's rich and warm, kind of inviting, a little bit buttery. We think of this guy.
Yes, sir. I'm a regular Sears and Roebuck. So when Andrew Dufresne came to me in 1949 and asked me to smuggle Rita Hayworth into the prison for him, I told him, no problem.
Right, so when we think of rich, warm butter, we think of Morgan Freeman. Now, this is the quality that we want. We don't want to imitate Morgan Freeman, because as much as we love Morgan Freeman's voice, if that voice comes out of, say, this young lady in the front row, that's going to be really odd, right? So what we're going to work on is getting the most out of our own natural voice, not attempting to imitate what other people are doing. You also have prosody. Prosody is a big fancy word for dynamics, and I like it because it sounds fun. But this is sort of the poetic nature of the words that come out of your mouth. We also have pace, which is how fast, how quickly, or how slowly, and you can alter that for various effects. Volume, as we have discussed, and diction. One of the most important things when we're talking about projecting our voice has to do with diction. Diction is how you shape the words that come out. This has to do with the position of your mouth and the position of the tongue and the mouth to create sounds. There is a way that you are supposed to speak for proper English. There are ways that you are not supposed to speak for proper English. Some examples might be there are some regional dialects from, say, Eastern Europe where their sounds are different than what we use in the English language. So since we're speaking English here today, when we want to communicate, we want to be as clear as we can. So we want to make sure that we are making our sounds as proper as we can. We mentioned My Fair Lady. Let's take a look at this clip real quick.
All right, Eliza, say it again.
The rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain.
The rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain.
Didn't I say that?
No, Eliza, you didn't say that. You didn't even say that. Every night before you get into bed, where you used to say your prayers, I want you to say, the rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain 50 times. You get much further with the Lord if you learn not to offend his ears.
All right, so as I said earlier, theological comments aside about displeasing the Lord with your diction, what we want to do is make sure that we are shaping the sounds coming out of our mouth that are proper. I'm not going to go through every single sound in the English language. We don't have time for that. But one of the things that is very common is when we drop the end of our consonants. So instead of eating, instead of eat, we eat. We kind of swallow that last sound. Finishing off the word, especially in hitting that last consonant, can help to give clarity to your words because it breaks them up from one word to the next to the next. This is a little bit different in singing, where sometimes you need to string them together for the musicality of a phrase. When you're speaking, you want to have more of that separation between them because that provides clarity and helps your message get across. Now, if you're having some issues with some very specific sounds, one of the things that you can do, a resource you can check out, is to look at videos for people who are coming from a different country to make English sounds. There's a ton of these on YouTube, these classes that you can take that can help you to hear the sound properly, in particular your Fs, your THs. There's a couple things that kind of slide together sometimes, and this can help give you distinction between the sounds, which is going to give you clarity in your message. When we talked earlier, we did a lot of things with regards to warming up our body for singing. And this is also true for speaking. Because you're using the same mechanics between speaking and singing and the same parts, you need to prep the same way. That means you have to do your warm-ups, you need to do your vocal warm-ups. Humming is a great one. When you hum, you should feel the vibration up here in what we call your mask and your lips. You should feel your vibration happening in here. That's going to help you get your vocal energy towards the front of your mouth and not the back of your throat. Another one that you can do to loosen up the muscles in your face is to simply say the letters Q, E, Q, R, and over-exaggerate that. So Q, E, Q, R. And what that does is that brings your mouth forward, pulls it back, brings it forward again, and then drops it down. If you keep repeating that over and over, that's going to help loosen all of this up. And because speaking is a physical act, we have to be warmed up for that. We wouldn't just jump into a sprint, a 100-yard dash without stretching. That would not be good for most people. It would kill me. I would die. There's just all there is to it. And since, when I also say that speaking is physical, it's governed by physics. Everything we've learned about today falls under the laws of physics. And it's really, really hard to try to break the law with regards to physics and have a successful outcome. When we're speaking about speaking, what we're really doing is we're trying to get this proper alignment with posture so that when we have our air in our lungs, it gets pushed up from the diaphragm, out through the vocal cords, and out of our mouth. The energy comes from the air moving. This is where your power comes from. If you're yelling, oftentimes you end up just using your throat, and that's a really bad place to attempt to generate vocal energy. Where you want to get that from is by pushing the air out. So you need to be able to breathe and breathe properly. So you fill this expanse, you fill this cavity. Some of us have more room to fill than others, and that's okay. But you want to fill that and then use your muscles in your ribs, in your diaphragm to squeeze that air out and push it. Then you can sustain and have control, and you don't have to gasp for air when you're talking. So this is what I mean when we talk about physics. It's also important with your body for posture. I have terrible posture. Most of the time, I'm hunched over my keyboard, and my shoulders go up to here, and I have to remind myself to get my shoulders down, to get my chest out so I can get proper alignment. If you think of it like a guitar, The neck of a guitar is in line with the body, and so your neck should be in line with your body. If your neck is pushing forward, then what you're doing is you're taking your guitar string, so to speak, out of alignment. And when you break the physics on that, it doesn't come out the proper way, the way that it is intended to make sound. So posture is massively important. So is our breathing, as well as preparing yourself with your warm-ups. The other thing to realize is that this takes practice. Much like other physical activities, you are not going to ace it the first time out of your gate. So this is something, these habits that you have with posture, with breathing, with diction, come with practice. Now, I'm not a vocal coach. I'm a lighting guy, right? So, but I know how to do this because for years I participated in a choir. And then I moved on to acting. And so I took what I learned by being in a choir on how to breathe and sustain energy vocally by being able to push air out. And now I just do that now. I just continue to do that. It is something that has been a habit for me, and so I still do that. It's not something I practice on a regular basis because I'm not singing anymore. I know the gifts that God has given me, and they are with the technology, not with the singing. But anyone can sing. And what I do want to say is, and I'm not getting paid for this, I said this before, but if you want to find a good way to get practice in this, join a choir. That's going to give you regular times throughout the week where you are putting these things into play and are going to help you build that habit where this becomes muscle memory and habitual as opposed to something you have to spend your time focusing on, leading up to, say, a speaking engagement, or if you just have a meeting where you have to give a report. The other big aspect of speaking is the psychology, the psychological aspect of it. Routinely in America, we find out that the number one fear that people have is public speaking, more so than spiders, more so than sharks, more so than death, more so than death by spider sharks. Like, people would rather face that than doing what I'm doing here, and this isn't that hard, and it's way less permanent than death. But there's a couple of reasons why I think that we fear public speaking. Why we're afraid of that is we're scared to make fools of ourselves. We're scared to lose our social standing with our peers or people that we have to present in front of. And so we internalize that, and we lower our own personal value with it. That's one thing I think. And the other thing that I think that we think that often people don't want to hear what we have to say. We think that our contribution to whatever it is that is out there might not be valued for whatever reason. I said before, in doing the research for this talk, I found that there's a list of the best knitting podcasts that was released for the year of 2018. So in 1 year, there were over 23 podcasts that made the list for the best knitting podcast, which means there are a bunch more that are out there that didn't make the best of list. So if there are over 23 really, really good knitting podcasts, chances are that there is an audience out there for your voice. Also, if you've been asked to share something, whether it's in a meeting, a business meeting where you're giving information, whether it's your testimony at church, whether you are teaching, you have information that someone thinks that they need from you to give to other people. So this reduction in value of ourselves, we don't need to be afraid of. There is an audience for your voice, and even if that's just your small group or your family or your community, those things are not complete without what you bring as a contributor. What happens when we become fearful when we're speaking, though, is we break all of those rules of physics that we learned earlier. We tend to make ourselves smaller. We want to hide, so that takes us out of alignment. We don't breathe properly because our heart's racing. We have this adrenaline hit. We're scared of losing our position in our social groups, which makes us, which ignites our fight or flight risk. All right, so we want to run and be scared of these things, and all of this stops the physical aspect of speaking because of what's going on in our brain. Fortunately, there's one really great way to get around this, and that is simply to lie. And here's what I mean by that. Not lying about the content of what you are saying, right? But if you are feeling as if you are scared or timid and you want to hide, what you want to do is take the exact opposite physical position. So you want to open yourself up. You want to make yourself big. In nature, when one animal wants to assert dominance over another, what does it do? It raises itself up, makes itself as big as it possibly can, right? So we as humans, because we are also animals, we will react to this in such a way, watch that, good catch. We will react to this as seeing power and authority, as opposed to seeing someone who doesn't have authority, who is all crumpled up amongst themselves. So you can lie to your audience about how you feel by simply just adopting a more open and larger stance for yourself. You can also, this also works on you. Studies have shown that when you adopt what's considered a power position, whether that's when you win a race and your hands go up, or score a touchdown and you throw your hands in the air, or you or you stand with the hands on the hips like this. This is a power pose. If you do this for 2 minutes prior to being evaluated in a performative situation, whether that's in a job interview, some sort of evaluation that you're having, like a job review, or just simply having someone be on the other side of a speaking situation, if you do this for 2 minutes, you will trick yourself into thinking that you are more confident than you may be feeling. So you can really lie to yourself and get through this until you get to the point where this doesn't scare you anymore. When I was acting, I would always be scared backstage. Always. Until I got into actually doing the act of what I was doing that day for that performance. When I hit the stage, I was okay. Backstage, I was a wreck. Now, I still have a little bit of that when I have to speak, but because I have learned some of these tricks, and I can speak with confidence, it is very helpful. The other thing that you absolutely have to do is you need to know what you know. Meaning you have to be familiar enough with your material that it becomes second nature to you. You need to practice what you're going to say, and that doesn't necessarily mean memorizing an entire speech and trying to relay it verbatim. But you need to know the facts or the figures or the general information that you're going to give. You also need to know what you don't know. Know what you don't know. You don't have to be an expert on everything. I'm not a vocal coach. I don't know all of the answers on making you a better speaker, but I know some things from what I've learned and picked up along the way, and there are other things that I have researched and learned. And so know what you know what you don't, and own both. Just be confident in what you know, and be confident in what you don't know. It is okay for you to say, I don't know the answer to that, unless it's part of a job and it's something you're supposed to know. But in a situation like this, if I don't know the answer, instead of trying to make something up where you'll then see through that, we can work on finding the answer together or at a different time. So own what you know, own what you don't. And those are just a couple of the tips that I have. I don't know where Marcus went to. Oh, he's in the back. So that's that. Are there any quick questions while he's making his way up? I know I went through that pretty quickly compared to what we did earlier today, but any questions on? Nope. Yes.
Praying faith into it. What's a good prayer as you're walking up to the stage before you say something? I mean, is it good to
I'm going to say that it never hurts to pray.
Thank you.
Ever. I don't have a specific one that I use myself. Generally, if I am standing in front of people, like if occasionally I serve as one of the MC pastors that help the service go along over in Wilson Hall. And when I do that, I just simply ask that I get taken out of the way and the Spirit comes and does their thing. So I think that's always, in a faith-based situation, I think that's good. For me, it's that last-second preparation that I do, which is some vocal exercises, moving my mouth around, and I have to shake my arms out. This is just a twitch that I have. I have to stand off to the side and go like this to kind of loosen everything up, and then I'm fine. So I think it's going to be a very personal decision for you on what is going to be the thing that is going to help you get out there to be able to speak with confidence so that you don't have a wavering voice, so you don't have the shyness and then start pulling back into yourself. We got a couple guys over here. I'm going to go salmon-colored shirt first. Can't see your name tag.
I wanted to say, too, it's a good thing to know somebody's praying. That's the real prayer word. And lift you up, help you to do supernatural as well. Yep. And that knowledge, particularly if you really believe in the power of their prayer, is very helpful to stand up to them. Good point.
That's something that I see demonstrated with our pastors all the time. Right before one pastor gets up to preach, we almost always have 2 or 3 pastors involved in the service. The other one is laying hands and praying over them and praying for them before they go. And I think that might actually be more important in terms of helping to calm and center you than what's going on for you personally.
Yeah, I love what you guys are saying. I'd add to that love casts out fear. So if you actually pray for your audience and pray that like what you're saying and delivering, helps them, blesses them, encourages them, whatever. I think if you focus on the people and just loving them and being like, Lord, I want them to be blessed by what I bring. I think that's a good prayer too, within everything else that you guys said.
Jim had a question or comment, and then I'll let Marcus take back over.
Well, I find when I'm singing solo sometimes, it helps if I can find a couple people that are really connected with, does that also apply for speaking? I mean, as far as like it encourages you, plus you're not just like look at them.
There's so much else that goes into speaking that we could get into, where we're talking about your posture behind, let's say, a podium, or your eye contact with individuals. There's just a lot more that we could get into. The other thing that I think is super important, and I'll close with this, let you take back over, is having some kind of review for yourself, some evaluation when you do speak. Whether that is a trusted audience that can give you feedback, whether that is simply recording yourself and then going back and listening to it. So you can listen for areas where maybe you weren't as clear, maybe where you are rushing words, maybe where there are certain sounds that you make that are not quite as clear as they could be. You might be able to pick that up. I also came across an app in doing research for this that will record your speaking and then count all of the times that you say like, or like you know. It'll take those filler words and give you a score and say, over this amount of time, you use this many words. So there's an evaluative process. So if public speaking is something that you're doing all of the time, or you need to be doing more of for your job or your ministry or what have you, having an evaluation on that is going to be key to helping you take the steps that you need to improve in those areas. And you might need the help of a vocal coach to help you get through some of the either sound issues that you're having or maybe breathing issues that you're having as well. So don't be afraid to look into that as an option.
Awesome.
Marcus?
Great information. We appreciate that. It's so good. And I like having varieties of resources of information, because what has stuck with him in his personal life is different from maybe yours, and vice versa. But we all have something we can add. And all of our experiences are very important. There's not one that's lesser important than the other. They're all important. So I'm going to ask Brad to share. This next segment is second to the last segment of the night, and this has to do with vocal health management. okay? And then we're going to end the night with some singing and speaking. But he knew I was going to ask him to do this. He's going to share a personal story of his life that, and I'll just let him speak for himself, but Pastor Brad LeBakken, he's been at the Christ Church for how long? 14 years. So he started when he was in diapers, and now he's in a three-piece suit, okay? So this is mic number 2, Jamie, for Brad. Thank you, sir.
Well, so many of you that have been here longer than I have, and it's awesome to just get to worship with all of you. But yeah, so I became a singer out of necessity. I'm a guitar player by nature. That's my first instrument. I was 20 years old, and I was in a punk rock band, and I was the guitarist, and we lost our singer, and they're like, somebody's got to sing. Would I hear some sort of... Oh, that's Ed. Okay. We can hear you, Ed. I heard like a whispering. I was like, what does that sound? It was coming from back there. So anyway, I was in this band, and we were just like, okay, we don't have a singer. Somebody's got to sing. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll try. And so for the next 10 years, I was in bands with no training. And I was just singing, breathing from up here. I was doing everything wrong. Like everything Marcus taught you today and over this week, I did the opposite. So then, fast forward, I got a job here. And I started to, I was singing in a style that maybe wasn't so hard on my voice. I wasn't screaming like I was in the punk band. But I still was not using proper technique. I was not doing any of those things. And so I found myself at a point where I was playing lots of shows. I had speaking engagements. I have a band outside of the worship band. We were playing shows, and at the merch tables, I'd be talking to people over loud music. And so I was constantly using my voice. And so I would come here on a Sunday after, Friday night show, Saturday night show, Thursday night practice. And Sunday, by the time I hit we have a practice in the morning, and then we have 2 Sunday services. By the end of that second service, my voice was cracking like this, like on some of the high notes, and I couldn't control it. And it was simply like I was just burnt out because I was using, again, breathing from up here. I was singing from my throat. I wasn't placing things. I wasn't doing any of that. And so I found myself, my voice was wearing out really quick. And somebody told me, your voice is like a bank. It's like, say you have $200 in the bank. If I'm shouting at a sports game, there goes $30. If I'm singing for an hour-long practice, there goes $100. And now I'm at the gig, and I've got to sing, and the gig's really going to take $150. Well, I don't have any left to give, in the bank. So all the things that Marcus has been teaching us is really ways of when you use proper technique, you save that money in the bank for when you need it. And everyone's given, some people are given $400 in their voice bank naturally. Some people are given $200. And, everybody's different. But the techniques that he's teaching you really can serve your voice and help you sing properly, help you sing more confidently. You don't have to worry about your voice cracking. You don't have to worry about not having enough in the bank to give. And so, just an encouragement that the stuff that he's teaching you, not only does it make you sound better, but it's healthier for you. And it's just, it'll protect you, get you out of some.
Would you care to share what you're recently doing as a means of recovery for that?
Yeah. So like I said, I have, 15 years of bad habits that I'm undoing. So this year I went to a vocal coach, and basically they retaught me how to talk at gigs and what to do, because I am in loud environments where I've got to talk over music and I've got to, communicate still. So I had to learn how to talk, and I had to learn how to sing. And there's a lot of crossover there with where you place things, how you pronounce things. And so this year is really, I'm deconstructing all of those bad habits to reconstruct them with good habits. And I've already been through this as a guitar player, because as a guitar player, I was not trained either. And I got to college and they're like, you're holding the pick wrong, you know, you've got the strap too low, like all these different things that I had to correct and go and redo. And so as a vocalist, I've been really encouraged this year, and my confidence as a vocalist has gone up a lot higher, because now I know the right way to do it. I do have to deconstruct the 15 years of bad habits, and that does take practice time in the practice room. And it's not something I can necessarily do on a Thursday night or a Sunday morning, because when I'm in those environments, it's like I need to be worshiping the Lord. I need to be, serving the people that I'm there with, or running the band, or running the practice. I can't be thinking about those things so much. So really it has to happen with me in my bedroom, in front of a mirror, trying to figure out, am I tensing my neck too much? Am I placing things right? Recording myself and thinking and listening back and being like, okay, am I, overdoing it or pushing too hard, or, those types of things. So really it takes practice on your own in the practice room before you even get to the practice with the band or the choir or the gig. And so that's where I'm at right now. I'm just kind of deconstructing to reconstruct. And it's cool because God often does that in our lives. Sometimes he needs to break us down to build us up stronger. He needs to retrain our minds. He needs to retrain our hearts. He needs us to think differently. And I think that's where I'm at as a vocalist now. It's like, okay, I need to think differently. I need to figure this out in a way that's, ultimately going to help me and God's people and glorify God more. So that's the prayer. So pray for me. I would appreciate that. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Brett.
One of the beautiful things about your voice is you whisper and sing a lot, in verses. I try to do that. I can't imitate you at all. You like speak it and you whisper so much emotion in that.
I can answer part of his question.
Yeah.
You just answered your question. He speaks singing. In the Germans, they call it Sprechstimme. Anybody ever heard that term? Sprechstimme. So it's something from the classical world, but basically when Ed was alluding to it too, it's when you actually are speaking, but you have notes attached to that word. Instead of just saying, my name is Marcus, I say, my name is Marcus. So he's figured a way to converse within his song. And to your ear, it sounds like, man, that's like, but he's not trying to sing, he's just emoting those phrases and those lyrics. And then there's mightier moments with held out phrases and stuff with it, that kind of thing too. But
it's like you said, singing's really just sustained speech. You're holding out the vowels, you're doing different things, but.
And if we would learn to think of it that way, singers, that you are speaking on pitch. I mean, you're singing on pitch, on notes, on words. You're not just, learning a phrase or a melody, but you're communicating words. And ours happens to be in the formation of this kind of a field of a pattern, which is a melody. It's a design. But we could just say this and be monotone, or chant like the monks did. But we have these nice highs and lows and different things that people, and that's why a good melody is so recognizable. Everybody knows it. As silly as it may seem sometimes, everybody knows Happy Birthday. It's a good melody. And so is NBC. But someone had to first think it. They weren't singing it. They just dun dun dun. So these exercises we do, a lot of times they sound like that. Mickey Mouse exercises. Ba, 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 bum, bum. If you want to be a nice way to write a melody, do that. Just mess around with vocalises. You'd be surprised what you could come up with, and then put real words with it. Yeah, I didn't mean to take away from your question to him, but that's a part of what he's doing in there when he's singing in that mode intimately. Yeah. Jim?
I was just thinking that I normally don't like rap music, but Toby Mac has a nice way of combining speaking and singing it in different ways. Yeah. So is that, that's kind of like what we're talking about here, right?
A good artist, for some of you that have been around a little longer, Don Francisco, whether you like his voice or not, he did a lot of speak singing when he would write all those narrative type songs. Yeah. So, awesome. We're going to talk about something that everybody loves, vocal health. And yet, most of you came to this workshop because I read all your comments. Some of you were frustrated. Others of you were like, you know what, I'm stuck. Some of you felt like, I can almost get there, but I don't know how to get the rest of it. And then still some of you were like, I don't even know where to begin, you know. But what I'm going to talk about in the next couple moments here, someone keep me mindful of, let's see, I'll probably have to go until 1:45 on this, and we'll still have time to do the last thing. Just some basic things. This is not meant to be laborious or hard, and I don't want you to think of it as hard. So when I say these things, these aren't things that you can never have, but these are things that if you're going to be singing and speaking, you want to keep in mind, all right? So our voices, whether we speak or we sing, they're going to react to everything we think, to everything that we eat, to everything that we feel. Example, if you eat a lot of fattening foods, chances are you're going to become what? Fat, yeah. Your body responds to that. Your voice is a part of that. Your voice is an instrument. If you have stress, if you're depressed, if you're overly excited, if you're anxious all the time, or your voice will respond to that. It will react to that in a negative way. If the environment that you're in is not good, let's say it's too cold, it's too hot, it's not safe, maybe you don't live in the best part of town, maybe you live in an affluent part of town and you still don't feel safe because you're feeling like you're always being watched, you can tense up and cause tension, and your voice responds to that in a negative way. So we want to give you some tips that will help you, whether you're speaking or singing. And some of this is going to sound very familiar to you, and others of you maybe you have not heard it this way. But one of the things you want to do is get connected to your body. When you sing, when you speak, it's just not your mouth releasing sound. There's a whole part of your body involved. You have to stand, so you have posture involved. But then you do have the emittance of sound that comes out of your mouth. We saw it in the diagram, right? But then you also have your emotions involved, and your facial expressions, so your stance, and all the things that go inside of your soul and your emotional world. All that plays into part of, because it's a part of who you are. You're one person. So learn to get connected with your body. One good way to do that is through a separate activity, such as exercise. One of the best exercises for singers is swimming. If you are able to swim, that is one of the best exercises. The reason being is because you can't make it from one side of the pool to the other without successful breathing and rhythm and timing. You'll drown. You'll get stuck. Swimming also benefits your lung capacity. It builds it up in a great way. And it's very, very low, what do they call it? Low impact. So any type of thing that is not going to cause you to have friction on your body is good. So swimming is at the top of my list with that. Also good is biking. Biking's nice. Simple, just walking around your block. That's good. A light jog would be good, but sometimes sprints are even better because they go from a high to low, and it revs your heart rate up and it puts it back down and revs it up. And so if you're looking to get in touch with your body that way, that's a good one. Another good one would be aerobic activity. I know some of you said yoga in here today, but something along the lines of aerobic, that would be good. Of course, just simple stretching, but just to get in touch with your body is a good vocal health management tool in a positive way. The next thing I want to say is, how much should you sing per day, per week? Let's just talk about a day. Give me some answers. What do you think? How much time should you spend speaking or singing per day? $10 minutes? An hour? So the average opinion is don't spend more than 2 to 3 hours singing on your voice. Now they're referring, in this example I had, was a rehearsal. You're at a rehearsal setting, kind of. So normally when we rehearse on Thursday nights, it's 6:30 till 9, but it's really 6:30 till 8:30 because we stop and we pray. You can come to a point where no matter how late you go, you can keep revving that song, going over that song, you're not going to get it any better. Your body is shut down. You ever experienced that? You need to respect that and not try to force it, because if you do, you're going to run into problems. So your body will respond, but you've got to let it rest too. So 2 to 3 hours is the most you should be singing. And if someone feels like you should sing more than that, then you're going to have a break in between that. Let's say you have to do something in the morning and then come back in the evening. Now, that's a real reality around here sometimes. We'll have like a busy weekend in the morning, have a night of worship at night. Easily, you can get 6 hours in one day, can't you? So you need to have a break, but the break is that afternoon, or the break is we don't just sing and then we start the service. We sing, we stop, and then we start the service. So there has to be recovery time built in there, all right? This is the number one thing everybody wanted to know. What am I supposed to eat? What am I not supposed to eat before I sing or speak? Okay? So I'm just going to go down a list. And if this is one that you have, great. If it's not, then write it down. So this is something you don't want to have right before you go up to sing. So I'm talking about the moment you have to start. That's been in the last hour before you get to sing. Don't eat this stuff here. Milk, yogurt, cheese, or any other kind of dairy. Okay? All right? The reason being is because milk is going to coat your vocal folds. And the first thing that's happening, you already have phlegm in your body. I told you God put it there. It's a good thing that you have the phlegm, but this is going to double the amount of mucus and phlegm. And now you've got gunk. And the first thing that happens is what? What do you want to do with that? Clear your throat, which I told you that it was what? Don't clear your throat. Okay. So, yes, sir.
So with the dairy, should we not eat dairy the day before, or 2 days before, or just the day of?
No, so you can eat dairy, but you need to eat anything. Use this for all food eating, okay? Have your meal at least an hour and a half to 3 hours prior. You need to have proper time for it to digest. Also, your diaphragm, you don't want it to be pressing up against. Ed was making mention of this. If I've got to take a deep breath, and I can't because I got meatloaf sandwich still stuck in there from Manny Brothers. I mean, it's pretty cool. No, I need to be free so I can get the full amount. So yeah, you can have those things, but I would say with dairy, even drink is more water than normal because you need to flush that off of your vocal folds. It's gonna.
You can't have it like 2 to 3 hours before.
I wouldn't have it 3 hours. I would have it at least 3 hours removed. Yeah. So if you really have to have that, try not to eat it on the day of. If you want your ice cream, eat it the day before, and drink a lot of water before you go to bed, and drink tons more when you get up. Yes, sir.
Well, for instance, with wrap, what do you do on a Sunday morning? Don't you eat it at all?
Honestly, when I wake up in the morning, I have an apple. I've heard apples are good for you, but that's all I'll eat for breakfast. I'm not good, but
All right, so the dairy, processed sugar. Most of us know this already about processed sugar. It's not good, is it, guys? Processed sugar, it tastes so good, but it doesn't end up good. And so too much processed sugar is going to do what? What do you think? Takes you up and crashes you down. It just, whoop, hello, boom, you're out. I mean, and you need energy, and that's what it does. It zaps your energy. It gives you false energy, okay? Plus, it puts you in the mode of where if you have too much of it, you know, your energy's not metered, it's just spent, okay? So you want to stay away from processed sugar. So that means your candies, all you who love the sweet tooths here. Caffeine. I'm hitting home. Most of you like coffee. I cannot stand coffee, so I don't have this struggle. Caffeine, you can have some caffeine, but this is the thing about caffeine and alcohol, all right? They both contribute to dehydration. What is the thing I said mostly yesterday? You need to be what? Hydrated. So why would you want to take things into your body right before you speak or sing that are going to cause you to become dehydrated? The first time you feel dry, mucus will form, the phlegm will come, and you'll start to clear your throat. So the water is important. But if you have the alcohol, if you have the caffeine, you're going to have to take 2 to 3 times as much water to flush your system. Now you have to deal with bathroom too. But it's just better not to have it before you do those activities because the alcohol is an astringent. It will dry you up. It's proven, and it does that. So that's why we want to have that before we speak or sing. It's going to cause your vocal cords to become tight. And what are we trying to do with our vocal folds? Keep them flexible and tangible, not rigid. Right? Chocolate. I love chocolate, and so do you. But don't eat it right before you sing or speak. It's kind of like dairy. It will coat like thick. I don't care if it's semi-sweet, bittersweet, white chocolate, green chocolate, it doesn't matter. Don't have it before you sing or speak, okay? It's going to cause a gunkiness, and you don't want to have that. Fried foods. So you're going to stay away from sheets down here and get your little fried hamburger or whatever they serve. The deep fried clogs your vocal folds. Along with that fried foods is butter. Similar. It's oily, greasy, and it can cause reflux. And acid reflux is not good on your voice because it will have this burning sensation. It'll make you lose your voice. I had a friend that he kept losing his voice, incredible voice. He couldn't figure out why we keep losing. You're not sick. You don't have a flu. You know what it was? He kept going to the all-you-could-eat pizza bar. And the acid in that sauce was causing acid reflux, and it would cause his voice to stop. And as soon as he stopped eating that pizza bar, his voice had no problems. Plus, he was able to fit back into his clothes again. So, soda, that's just like candy. It's full of sugar. Plus, it has carbonation, which gets you all warm and fuzzy, but it's that sugar stuff again. Even the stuff that has the sugar substitute, you don't want all that, okay? The room temperature water is your best friend. Spicy foods. How many people love spicy foods? So those spicy foods are in the same avenue of that acid reflux. That burning sensation. Plus, you'll have indigestion.